Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Antonio. I am a full-stack engineer at Signet, and today I'll be speaking about the subject of A/B testing. So what is A/B testing exactly? It is the method of comparing two variations of a website in order to get which yields the best results, meaning which one has the higher conversion rate and fewer bounce rates, for example. What's important when doing A/B testing or split testing is that know what you are doing it. You should never do it for fun, but always for profit. And these are some of the reasons of which why you might want to do it. So first of all, pain points. Whenever a user wants to do something on your website, but he cannot complete it, that is a pain point. For example, you have a form which is not being submitted because the user thinks it asks too many personal questions. That is a pain point and should be addressed quickly. Secondly, bounce rate. Let's say a user has a definite goal on what he wants to do on your website. For example, submit a form, buy your product, or simply browse through your articles. If he gets interrupted at any point and leaves your website, that is a bounce rate, and that should be attended immediately. Then we have risk, or how to reduce risk through A/B testing. Let's say you're a startup and you have 100 customers. Those customers are used to your design and like your functionality. Now you have a brilliant idea that you want to expand, you want to attract new customers, and you got an idea to redesign your website. The most common mistake you can make here is to redesign without testing, because you are jeopardizing your current conversion rate. For example, let's get you have an idea to add a new element to your website, a new form, a new button, it can be whichever you want. If you just roll out that 100%, it can be catastrophic, because you are increasing your risk of losing your current conversion rate. What you should do instead is do A/B testing on it. First, roll out to 10% of your users and see how they react. If the bounce rate increases or the pain point increases, you know that you cannot roll this out to 100%. So it's important to have data-driven results and analytics so you can have data-driven prediction. Otherwise, you are again jeopardizing your current conversion rate and starting to lose money. The most important thing is profit, of course. Let's say you spend money on redesign and then continue to lose money after the redesign by jeopardizing your current conversion rate and not gaining new users. This is something that A/B testing can fix as well, because you will have data-driven predictions and know how it will look like at 100%, meaning you know if you will be profitable or not. This means you're not only listening to your designer team about saying that the new button is great, but you're also listening to your users, which say and prove that it is great. Now the question is, how do you do a perfect A/B test? Well, it all starts with research. First of all, we have Google Analytics. Amazon Web Services has a lot of analytics tools. We have Hotjar, which you've probably seen on carbon advertisements, for example. And one thing that all of them offers are heat maps. Heat maps are probably the best way to see traffic on your website. You can see the hotspots where users get stuck. You can see the green points where users go easily on your website. You can find out menus that are hard to navigate, for example, and users leave your website, which increases your bounce rate. All of these things are analytics and statistics which you can combine into your research. Once you've gathered your research, you're ready to make a hypothesis. Now, what a hypothesis is basically asking yourself a question about how you can fix something, making a prediction that something will happen. For example, users are not submitting a form, which you've gathered through research. You see that this form is the least one being completed. And you can ask yourself a hypothetical question: is the form not being submitted because it asks too many personal questions? Now, of course, you should always do this with a head of UX or head of design to make sense about user experience, because all of the pain points and bounce rates usually come from bad user experience. Once you've made your hypothetical question, you're ready to do a version. What the version is basically a different variation of your site, which you will compare to the original site. Let's go back to the example with the form. You will now create a new form with fewer personal questions, and you will compare it to the original form. Let's say you roll out 25% of users who receive the new form. Then, after that, you're ready to test. You're going to see if the bounce rates have decreased or if the pain points are fewer. If that is true, you're ready to release and deploy to 100%. Now let's see how you can do this with Amazon Web Services. Most commonly, you can use the Amazon S3 bucket, which is basically a cloud storage which powers millions of apps and even internally powers Amazon's global e-commerce store. After that, you can use the Amazon CloudFront for a global content delivery network, which will help you deliver the best images and other options to your clients, aka end users. And lastly, you can use Lambda. Lambda is currently a buzzword of a sort because it contains the serverless in it. Of course, there is still a server, you just don't manage it. You send it a specific block of code which can be computed for whichever reason you want to. You either don't have the power to do it or simply don't want to do it. So now we will set an example of how you can do A/B testing through cookies. This will be a start of a code that you will upload to Lambda. So first we just intercept the request and we check if it has a specific experimental pixel. If it has, we are going to conduct A/B testing. If it doesn't, we just continue with the callback. If it doesn't have the experiment pixel, it means it is not the website you want to A/B test. It can be a homepage and you want to A/B test the form, as I said before. If it is, we start assigning some constants and then we are looping through our cookies. If we have an experiment cookie A, we will show user the experiment cookie A website. If we don't, we are showing the experiment cookie B. And this is probably the most interesting one, the one you are looking for. What if the user visits for the first time? How do we determine what will we show him if he doesn't have a cookie? Here we set a 75% percentage that he can get a B cookie or an A cookie. You can of course change this to 50-50 if you want to for better results. After this, you finally give the request an experiment path, and then that's how you watch analytics. In your analytics tool, you will see which request received the A cookie, which received the B cookie, where the bounce rates are fewer, and where the pain points are fewer as well. This has been all. Thank you.